when the Prophet ﷺ dies and Abu Bakr radiallahu anh dies and Umar ibn Khattab, breaks that tyrannical regime and allows the people to enjoy their freedoms, he places at the heart of the Sassanid Empire, or the former Sassanid Empire, Salman himself as like the governor. He posts him there. And of course the people from the region know who this is or who this was, right? And he was a completely different person at this point, right? And he was actually known as the master of the two scriptures, because he went on like a 20, 30, 40-year journey chasing down the remnants of the scripture of Isa alayhi salam. And then he becomes Muslim, and then he starts studying the scripture of the Prophet Muhammad, the Qur'an, right? So he comes back having collected the wisdom of the planet, basically. And so people would always come around him, like wherever he walked, it was like a rotating conference, basically. And just waiting for him to just part his lips and drop gems every time he spoke. And he would always take those opportunities to remind them that wherever you look and whatever you read, it will never come close to Allah's final word, the great glorious Qur'an. In one particular incident, the people all gathered in the central masjid of Al-Madain, and he was going to begin speaking. And so they started flocking around him, and more and more and more and more people came, and he waited, the narrator says, till they were about 1,000 people there. And then he takes a deep breath, says Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and begins reciting to them Surah Yusuf. And he doesn't stop. He doesn't explain. He just keeps reciting. He's going on, and people begin to say, I know Surah Yusuf. I've heard this before. Been there, done that, right? And they start drifting away from the gathering. And he waited until about 90% of them were gone. The narrator says until we were about 100. And then he stopped reciting and said, Az-zukhruf min al-qawli aradtum. You guys were waiting for some fancy words. ثُمَّ قَرَأْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ فَذَهَبْتُمْ. Then when I recite to you Allah's words, you walk away. I mean, you got it all wrong. You're duped into thinking you can find wisdom and inspiration and motivation and moving words elsewhere. And Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, he actually comments on all that can be found in a surah like Surah Yusuf and says, I have personally extracted 1,000 lessons from Surah Yusuf. Surah Yusuf is 111 verses. So every ayah has at least 10 lessons for Ibn al-Qayyim, right? Not to say there are only 1,000, by the way. And not to say I'm not getting off the mic till I give you 1,000. But, Ibn Abbas, radiallahu anhu, to illustrate my point, he used to say, إني لأمر على الآية من كتاب الله فأود أن كل الناس يعلمون منها ما أعلم. I pass by verses in the book of Allah, and I deeply wish that everyone knew about them what I knew. This is not arrogant, this is not conceit, this is genuine, concern for people, genuine desire that everyone realizes that the Qur'an and unlocking its secrets is the most pleasurable experience on planet Earth.